I'm Dr. Ryan DeBell from The Movement Fix. This is Movement Fix Monday. I'm here at Athlete Inside Performance in Calgary, Alberta. We're doing a workshop here today, and I wanted to talk to you guys about a common thing that occurs, which is an athlete who has stiffness or tightness in their low back during deadlifting or during workouts that have cleans or snatches, to the point where it makes them stop. So this is actually a pretty common thing that people will complain of is, oh, my back gets so tight mid-workout that I have to stop. And so we have to consider some things with that athlete. A lot of times what you'll notice with that person is they'll have very thick low back erectors. So if you were to examine the low back muscles, they're large. And that's one thing I'll look for. And what that tells me is, you know, in the deadlift, if we look at this bar from this angle here, if someone's deadlifting and then they get down to this depth, and then I see like quite a bit of back motion. And then when I watch them deadlift, they come up, they go down, their back rounds, they go up, they go down, their back rounds. What happens to these joints here of their spine is that they're essentially doing it as a concentric and eccentric contraction of the lumbar erectors, versus what we want in a deadlift is for it to be essentially isometric. So there's this big pumping effect that happens. And I don't necessarily want that for someone's deadlifts or their cleans, etc. So what I'll do is I'll find a deadlift variation that gets rid of that motion so I can train them to have good isometric control rather than doing this, causing that hypertrophy, which is why we can see sometimes that thickening there of like just more muscle growth. So you could do a bar off of pull blocks, and you can change the pull block to be a different height depending on how far can the person go down into the depth of the deadlift without the back rounding. So if they can do it here and they can get down like this, then I would have them just do deadlifts off of blocks, versus if they were doing it off the ground, they get here and then at the bottom they like tuck, and then they have this tucking, untucking spinal motion. I want to find a variation that gets rid of that and train that until they can do that isometric hold or less joint motion in a deadlift off the ground. So this is one option, is just doing them here. And if the person has this problem when they're doing cleans, then I'll just have them do cleans and snatches off of pull blocks. That's what pull blocks are there for. It's actually a good variation in training. Now, not everybody has these, so you could do this off of plates instead of off of these blocks. Or another variation you could do would be, we'll go over to this rig, is you could do a rack pull to a Romanian deadlift. So this is another exercise I'll use a lot for the person who has this complaint, is I'll have them start, and this is probably actually pretty high, but I would start at a height where they can easily get here with a neutral back position. Then I'd have them step back and do the RDLs from here, going down as far as possible. The depth is, well, that was me stopping in the middle of that sentence, not as far as possible while maintaining a neutral or isometric back position. So that may only be here when I start with that person. It may have to be above the kneecap, or it may be farther down. But I would have them do training like that for as long as I have to. I mean, that may be a couple weeks, it may be a couple months of training, depending on the severity of kind of the back complaint. But I would have them only train to the depth where their back isn't doing that motion. And then whether that's a pull block, whether that's off the rack or that RDL, that's what I'm thinking of. And for the cleans and snatches, like in like metabolic workouts, I would have them doing from the hang or the high hang only, to avoid that end range where they're doing that repetitive motion, and try to train that out of the system. So pretty common thing. Those are some things to think about. And that's what I got for you guys this week. So if you don't already follow The Movement Fix on Instagram, you can find me at The Movement Fix. And if you want more stuff like this, come check out a workshop at themovementfix.com/workshops. I'll see you guys next week.